Hello and welcome to Tabletop Oddity. My name is Jay, and this is just a quick news update, I guess, for Star Wars Legion. Basically, Fantasy Flight Games have now put up on their website the official tournament rules, the organized play rule set, which it tells you what to do if you are running a tournament or if you're going to a tournament. Basically, there's not that much radical stuff in it or anything like that. I've read through it. Nothing seems particularly crazy, but we'll go through it anyway. If you just go on your normal Star Wars Legion page, right down at the bottom with all the tournament resources, the rules and all that kind of stuff, they now have Tournament Legion regulations. They've got a text version and a PDF, but I'm going to look at the PDF and then you'll get this. It's a very dry document, so if you're just a casual fan, and you probably won't need to know too much of what is on here or in here. It goes through all the kinds of stuff that you need for who's organising it, that kind of thing, the player, the judge, spectators, participations if you're like the leader of the bloody or tournament and that kind of thing. Talks about what you need now. Interestingly, I sort of expected and hoped that each player would get to put their barricades down, or at least like a couple of barricades down, just so you could have an impact on the game before it started. That's one thing that does not seem to exist. It does say that basically the organizer is responsible for setting up the terrain. He or she should make sure there's an equal amount of terrain pretty much across the board, kind of thing, and on each side. Nothing really that interesting there. Play materials, it just says you need to bring all... actually, this is a very, very important point for tournaments and stuff like that. So, each player needs to bring to a tournament 12 unique objective, deployment, and condition cards, 4 of each. And you might be thinking, well, of course, that's how many is in the core set. Well, yes, but in the terrain box we're getting, I can't remember what it's called at the minute, the expansion that has the evaporators and stuff like that, there is a set of each of these. There's that minefield one. Basically, there's an extra set of an objective, a deployment, and a condition card in that set. Now you're going to, each player, when you go to a tournament, if you own those, you're actually going to be able to take those to a tournament and discard some of them. So let's say you've got loads of flankers, you don't like the long march, which is a narrow one, you can get this kit and then not play with that, which I sort of don't really like, but I also like. What I'm not happy with there is that, imagine in a couple of years' time where there's loads of these objective deployments and condition cards. If they do that, then it might be a little bit too much to sort of keep track of what your opponent might bring and that kind of thing. But who gets to bring it? Well, it does say later on that the player with the lowest amount of points picks either red or blue player. We already know that. The blue player is we use the blue player's cards. The blue player's cards. So whatever the blue player brings, they're what you use. So if you're running like an 800 point full bang on, you're unlikely to get that unless your opponent picks it for you. So that is a very interesting development. That I was wondering how they would relate to future tournaments, having new condition cards and that kind of thing. And there we have it. You actually do get a choice. That's a really interesting part here. When you write your list, you can't just put the MPL MPL-57 trooper. You can't just put the MPL 57 trooper. It's not specific enough. You need to put the MPL 57 ion trooper. Very specific there. I mean, make sure you just write whatever it says on the card, I guess. You can ask to share components, so if you're worried about your opponent's dice or whatever, you can use them. Now, another interesting one, which is component modification. So obviously, it's like what you can and can't use or change. You can't. So, for example, your base. If you've got an ATST, you can't put it on a giant, massive rock. Except you sort of can. It says you're not allowed to significantly alter their size, height, or shape. If you're wondering where that is, it says it right here. Not allowed to significantly alter their size, height, or shape. But it says basically a relaxed event, they're not going to be bothered. And then as they step up the event levels, they're going to be more strict on that, which I guess is okay. Your cards obviously must remain unaltered, but you can sleeve them. Pretty standard there. You can modify your movement tools and stuff like that as long as you don't change the size of them, or like you don't make it so you can't slot them in. You can mark your dice, but obviously that just so you can indicate ownership, but you can't really modify them in any other way. Nothing else really interesting here. You can use tokens for I forgot what we call them, non-essential. I forgot what they call them, non-essential tokens, which I think basically are like suppression and that kind of thing. Probably not stuff that is essential. Maybe like like the command command tokens and stuff like that. But that would be an iffy ground, I guess. I'm sure it probably explains exactly what is non-essential, but I can't be bothered rereading that whilst I'm trying to do the video. It wouldn't really make any sense. Tournament setup. This just says how much area you need. Nothing amazing there. The game setup, and this is where it says here that you determine the terrain first, whatever's at your table. If you can't decide even before the game, you'd have to get a judge over. That would be a pain if you've not even started the game and you can't decide that with your opponent, wouldn't it? The players who haven't got the lowest total points, they choose to either be red or blue player. The blue player, if you've got the same points, you randomly decide. So then you shuffle the blue player's objective card and condition card separately. So being the blue player and being able to affect those cards could be very important. So it's interesting that that's actually become a relevant thing to a tournament, I guess. And going forward, we'll have to see how many more come out. I don't want it to be loads, but it'd be nice to have a couple every so often just to keep things a little bit fresh, perhaps. Then it's the same as you normally do. You resolve your objectives, that's fine. It does say, like, for Margin of Error, they basically say a relaxed one, don't be too bothered, but as a serious one, try and not bump stuff. But, I went to an event, Element Games, and just, like, even trying to get stuff into, trying to get exactly as you like lift your finger off it, it slightly wobbles and stuff like that. It slightly like sticks to your finger and you move it a little bit. So I think it's saying like don't be crazy with this. Missed opportunity says you can only go back if your opponent agrees. So if you forgot to do something, you can only go back if your opponent agrees. Taking notes. I don't really like this one, but you're not allowed to take notes or reference any outside materials during the tournament. I'm really hoping that doesn't stop me taking pictures. I'm not sure what a note is, but I'm hoping to take pictures, maybe for battle reports and or that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that just means like, my MPL7 has just shot this, it caused a wound. Or I'm hoping it's stuff like, what command cards has he used? Or he or she has used. So I'm not happy about that rule. I don't really think it would have mattered. I think they should have just said, do whatever you like. It's not really a problem. But I didn't mind it. It does recommend 2 hours for each round. 3 hours, I think. How long's that? Yeah, 3 hours for the final. It's quite a long time. 2 hours is probably long enough, I think, once everybody gets up and running. Pairings, now, this is all standard stuff as far as I could tell, but there's been a little bit of a discussion in the Discord about these tiebreakers. What do you do if somebody has won, like they've got the same number of victory points, that kind of thing? How do you determine who's ahead and who's not? Well, first and foremost, if you've got more victory points, you win. That's fine. You get 1 point, the opponent gets 0. If it's a tie, then you have to calculate the player's score. That's fine. That's pretty standard stuff. But if it's a tie whilst you're doing the whole round, then you can pick these. You can do strength of schedule, extended strength of schedule, or random. Now, a lot of people were talking about margin of victory. That's not necessarily being calculated. It's going to be like where your opponents have ranked. Some people aren't happy with that. Some people are happy with that. I've not experienced enough to be either annoyed or happy about that. So I just thought I would mention it. But, let me know your thoughts about that specifically, because it's not something I'm knowledgeable on at all. 3 kinds of tournaments. They say relaxed. I like this one because in relaxed it says players are encouraged to help each other improve and learn. And like at the event I went to, we sort of sometimes did that. I was like saying, oh, maybe do this, and they were saying like, oh, instead of readying that, why don't you just aim and shoot me? And I was like, oh, that actually probably is a better idea. So I really like that kind of level. I'm thinking most of my tournaments will probably be relaxed level, but occasionally I'll step it up and we'll go to formal and the premier events. Well, if I ever get to a premier event, I sort of don't expect I'll ever be good enough for that. But it's here if you want to see it. The one thing I don't think it mentions that I would have liked to have seen is when do you reveal each other? When do I know what my opponent's list is? I presume when they tell you the number of points, because how can you confirm the number of points unless you look at their list? So I don't think it says that. If anybody else goes through this completely fully informally and like lets me have a look, then, you know, if I'm wrong or if it does say that, just please do let me know. It's something I'm very interested in. But yeah, I'm excited to go to events. I've started. I've got my foam kit that I did a little review on today. Pretty much got the ball rolling in actually attending events, and I hope to keep attending them. And these are basically the guides on how that's going to work going forward for the official tournaments and that kind of thing. And it needed to come out because we needed to see exactly how it was going to work. There's nothing amazingly revolutionary in here. As I said, how much you can modify your base, that one's interesting. The fact that the blue player is the one whose objectives condition cards, that's another interesting one. And yeah, but that's really about it, if we're honest. But I thought I'd bring this to you. Hopefully you thought it was worth sharing. If not, I'm sorry. Other than that, I do hope that you have a most beautiful day, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Bye. Oh wait, like and subscribe, and hit the bell button and stuff, and Patreon and stuff. Yes, indeed. Goodbye.